And start record. Okay. It's recording. Okay. It's working. It's working. It's doing a thing. Okay. So, that being said, this is a request from Mr. at Speaker's Corner 304. And the request was for this video. Thank you very much, Mr. Check my notes, Speaker's Corner 304. Okay. So, that being said, this is for them. They made a request on another video that I did. And this one's going live on a bunch of channels and stuff. And that being said, they requested this video from FlakAlley, a B-17 that flew without a cockpit. This is going to be interesting. I know nothing about this, but I have a feeling I might like it. If it's like Mr. Electrician, then what's it? That being said, let's jump in.
10th of July, 1944, a thunderous evening. Cruising at 25,000 feet, 24-year-old First Lieutenant Ewald Swanson of the 483rd Bomb Group was pilot of a B-17G Flying Fortress, nicknamed Mizpah, its tail number 42-32-109. Their mission was to strike at the very heart of the Nazi stronghold in Budapest, Hungary. The formation consisted of 60 flying fortresses, and as they entered Hungary, they were bombarded by relentless curtains of thick flak.
Oh gosh, I remember, one of the, so before, while I was in, pre-med, I was volunteering at an old folks home. And one of the old people that I took care of, he used to be a pilot. And he was a pilot in World War II. I'm pretty sure he was in Europe. And I think he was talking about this plane when he was talking about losing their ball turret gunners. And, how, there'd be lots of metal flying through the plane. Because when the enemy would shoot at them, it's I forget what he called it. It was like a burst of metal. Where the big giant, bullet, would, explode next to the plane. And they would just fly through it. And I'm just salute to you, sir. Slowly. Okay. I've never seen... Oh, that's what he said just now, isn't it? He called it flak. Okay, that makes sense. The girl moment, I know. Well, that's really scary. I mean, I've seen people get really torn up by, just normal accidents on the ground. I mean, gunshot wounds and everything, so if it's similar to that, I can only imagine. That's terrifying.
Explosions erupted all around Mizpah, shredding the tail section and punching holes into the battle-worn wings. Nonetheless, the B-17 formation presses through the initial flak bombardment and heads inbound towards their main target, the Ferencváros railroad yards. This was one of the most heavily defended and strategically vital targets of the late war, critical for the movement of troops, equipment and oil, keeping the German war machine alive.
Oh gosh, I heard that, so in school, in both the history class, I'm not really sure if I trust what they said, but they used to say that, bombing way back then was, basically guessing. And so when they would bomb something, they would end up having to kind of, eyeballing. And so bombing was very inaccurate. And then they would end up, just bombing whole areas, civilians and everything, around the target, too. And just, my gosh. That's scary. if everything if everything Badgers told me about how good like bombing and stuff is nowadays, how accurate it is, I would much prefer that. Not sure if that means I'm a bit desensitized just from hearing it, or I don't know. I don't know. Does that make me a bad person? Then I prefer like, very like accurate bombing that doesn't do a lot of unintended damage. Ah, okay. Okay, so they were able to aim a bit, but just not as good as today. Okay, that makes sense. Although the way the professor explained it made it sound like they just didn't care. Ah, okay. So it was both necessity and it was like, this is the best we could do? Yeah, that's so scary. That is very terrifying. For both the bomber and the bomb.
Now, just seconds away from the target, Bombardier 2nd Lieutenant Kenneth Dudley lines up the Sperry bomb site and successfully releases their bombs. All of a sudden, chaos erupts. A Flak 88 round lands square on the nose of Mizpah. The nose explodes, vaporizing the Bombardier and the navigator, whilst covering the front of the fortress in blood. The nose peels off above the aircraft, and shrapnel from the cockpit ricochets throughout the cabin, piercing wing gunner Sergeant Wesley Tucker in the chest. The inside temperature plummets to a freezing minus 30 degrees. Due to the extreme damage, the center of gravity shifts to the tail, causing the fortress to pitch up into a vertical. They were mere seconds away from stalling out and entering a death spiral. Astonishingly, First Lieutenant Ewald Swanson, despite no longer having a cockpit,
Salute to these very brave men. Greatest generation is. It feels like it is not enough to describe them. You said they got vaporized. That must have been a very big bullet. That's so terrifying. I couldn't be in the military. Maybe as a medical personnel, but definitely not frontline. I might die of shock. And to think that they went through this daily? We really do not appreciate men enough. That part makes me very sad. But thanks to them, we had a much better world after World War II, I think.
regains control of the battered B-17 and re-enters the formation. The crew of a nearby B-17, nicknamed Yvonne, couldn't believe what they were seeing. A blood-soaked B-17 without a nose pulls up alongside them in one of the most haunting sights of the war. Mizpah was strangely flying as if nothing had happened. What was happening inside the B-17 was even more impressive. Since there was no cockpit or control column left to maneuver the aircraft, under the screaming command of Pilot Swanson, the crew had begun to fly the aircraft by pulling the exposed control cables by hand. Despite having lost a significant part of the aircraft, this flying fortress and its injured crew refused to go down, a symbol of unwavering courage and indomitable machine spirit. However, over 200 Flak 88 guns still had their sights set on the formation. Suddenly, another explosion rattles the B-17. A flak barrage destroys their number 2 engine as the fortress begins to lose power and airspeed. With the nose blown off and an engine gone, Mizpah and her crew, through sheer determination and will, kept the aircraft airborne. However, the effects of drag from all the damage received was increasing by the second. Mizpah had fallen far behind the formation by now. For a perilous 10 minutes, the crew battles the control cables to get as far away from the hornet's nest as possible.
I truly hope that they are in heaven. For everything they went through. For, being so brave and saving everyone. I really hope that I'm not religious. Although Badger, he kind of believes there is a higher power. But he's not religious either. But I really hope there's a heaven. Especially for these men. I don't feel like anything else would be. It doesn't feel like anything else they should have gotten any less. You know? Oh gosh, they mounted those giant guns on the tanks? I mean, I know tank guns are big, but wow. And they shot that at people on the ground? This whole war was terrifying. Anyway, I really hope that they are in heaven. If it exists, they deserve it. Or wait, wasn't there something else mentioned than isn't there something else mentioned than I think there was something else besides heaven, like paradise or something? I'm very rusty on all the religious stuff. But whatever the best place to go to in the afterlife was, I want them to be there. Oh gosh, I imagine so. If it has such horrific effects in the air. I can only imagine what shooting it at stuff on the ground was like. Oh gosh, give me a second. I need to, okay. Give me a second. I need to do something really quick. And I am back. So, I'm doing my laundry. While I'm doing all of this too. It's hard to have time to do all my laundry. So it ends up piling up. And then by the time I get time off, it's hard. Where was I on the chat? So basically, Wait, is this the difference between, like, full metal jacket for, like, firearms and, like, anti-personnel rounds? Like like those extending self-defense rounds? Is it kind of like that? It sounds like it. Anyway, I'd have to ask Badger more about it. Dumb round. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to ask Badger. I'll have to text him some questions. Although, recently it's been hard to, get him to be communicative, because, as usual, things are not going well for him no matter what he does. Yes, that being said, let me keep going.
Now, over Dunavek's, Hungary, pilot Ewald Swanson informs his crew to immediately bail out whilst he held it steady. 7 crew members successfully bail out of the aircraft. Swanson could no longer tame the crippled fortress on his own. Immediately, the B-17 pitches up, trapping Swanson inside the fuselage. He grabs the parachute and keeps it close to him, waiting for the B-17 to stall out. As the fortress comes to a standstill, Swanson takes the opportunity to jump out of the front, but just as he does, his chute catches the torn metal of the cockpit, ripping through the fabric with brutal force. This was a blessing in disguise, however, as if the fabric hadn't torn, he would have gone down with the ship, pinned by centrifugal forces. Swanson is violently flung back, narrowly missing the tail section of the B-17. The young pilot
Oh gosh. I have a hard time flying already. I could never do skydiving. And stories like this one make it more terrifying. I don't know how Badger did it. He did something like thousands of, what do you call them? It's where they, like, jump out of the plane at, like, very high altitude. And then they, like, wait until they're, like, close to the ground to open their parachute. Yeah, something like that. Badger's done those. And then he's done the one where, like, the chute's hooked up to a line. And then they, like, jump out and the chute jumps out with them. Or something like that. He called it airborne operations. Oh, okay, Mr. Mango. Ah, well, sounds like the problem they have with that one game I hear about. There's like a game. I don't think it's that Call of Duty game. I think it's another one. But it's similar to the one that Badger plays on Xbox, with like the ships and the tanks. Yeah! Yeah. That's the one. Yeah. So, yeah, that one. I've heard about that. Well, yeah, anyway, let's continue.
pilot momentarily passes out whilst falling out the sky from 20,000 feet. When he opened his eyes, he was seconds away from hitting the ground. First Lieutenant Ewald Swanson immediately opens his parachute, but notices that it had sustained significant damage. The chute was not slowing him down enough for a safe landing. The landing was going to be brutal, one that he was unlikely to walk away from or even survive. By sheer luck, on the way down, he spots what he believed to be an enemy POW camp in the middle of a dense forest. Swanson positions himself on top of the trees by the camp hoping it would break his fall.
Oh. I can't imagine that. I really couldn't imagine it. I mean, I've heard stories from Badger about like shoots failing and about like backup shoot and something else. About having to try and land like in trees so you get slowed down, but you still might break limbs and get tossed around and you might still die. But stuff like that is just, oh my god, that's deep. Oh gosh. Imagining it makes me panic. I couldn't imagine I'm like trying to skydive, and then suddenly something's wrong with the thing that's supposed to keep me alive, and then I have to aim for giant snakes sticking out of the ground, and have more snakes sticking out of them. It's terrifying. Um, Mr. Mango, sir, I still have no idea what you're speaking of. But, oh wait, you said thanks. Okay. I don't get all of it, but it sounds cool.
Several seconds
That being said, oh gosh. Oh, I hope he survives. Oh, I hope he lives.
on top of the trees by the camp, hoping it would break his fall. Several seconds later, he crashes into the dense treetop. First Lieutenant Swanson suffers a broken left leg alongside deep tissue cuts from the tree branches. Against all odds, he survives the landing. The German medics of the POW camp quickly spot Swanson's body in the brush and recover him. They admit
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Oh, so happy I survived. Oh, he survived. He's hurt. Like, you can survive broken limbs. And he's alive. This makes me a lot. This makes me very happy. I know it. I know that, these kinds of things are hard to survive, but he survived. That makes me feel better about the whole story. Anyway, that being said, I'm very happy he's not dead.
administer life-saving first aid to the young pilot, who has at this point stared death in the face and kept going. In fact, to his amazement, he finds out that the entire crew of his B-17 had survived. His crew were captured nearby, only to meet up at the same camp their pilot had somehow ended up at. A happy accident, as they put it.
That is a happy accident. I mean, yeah, they're prisoners, right? But they're still alive. Oh gosh, give me a second. You do check where I need to find. Oh, okay, give me a sec. Hey, I'm back. Sorry, my washer was making noises. And then, like, it's one of those, like, generic ones that's like, you put in the clothes from the top. So it's very fragile. Anyway, that being said, let's keep going. I'm happy they're all together. I'm happy that that's what happened.
The crew would endure 9 long months through the harsh cold winter at the POW camp. On the 30th of April 1945, US troops would liberate the crew of Mizpah. The war for these young men had finally come to an end. The 8 survivors would return home to the USA that night. Ewald Swanson's bravery that day would earn him the prestigious rank of Lieutenant Colonel before his retirement from the United States Air Force.
Yay!
After the war, he returned to a quieter life, marrying his beloved Catherine Swanson and raising a son together at
He's almost like Badger. Except, fortunately, marriage to women nowadays is, kind of impossible.
Michigan, USA. Yet, it was the bond with his B-17 crewmates that remained closest to his heart. In the decades that followed, they would often reunite, old warriors with weathered hands and bright eyes, sharing stories of impossible missions and the unbreakable brotherhood they forged when they were barely more than kids. Swanson would pass away peacefully on the 28th of February 2009 at the age of 89, remembered not only as a war hero, but as the only known pilot to have ever flown an aircraft without a cockpit.
Yes, that's very nice. I'm happy that they all got a good ending. And sad for those who died. Yes, Mr. Mango, all's well that ends well. Or, here, as well as can be, really.
Only Mizpah and the men who dared to ride her into hell and back could ever truly understand what that meant. Only 4.
Oh gosh. The whereabouts of their beloved B-17 Mizpah is unknown. The remains of her crew are yet to be found. Second Lieutenant Paige Henderson, Navigator KIA. Second Lieutenant Kenneth W. Dudley, Bombardier KIA. Oh, those were the two that were, those were the two that were killed. I really hope that they are in heaven. They deserve no less. But, if they don't know where the Mizpah is, what does that mean? Were they never able to find it? Because that's what it sounds like. Sounds like it went somewhere. Maybe it, like, landed in a field nicely somewhere and, it just stayed there? I don't know. It sounds so strange to me that there's a big giant, like, bomber plane missing.
I truly understand what that meant.
Ooh, let me read this. Their sacrifice deserves to be remembered. How many learn of it depends on you. Honor them by leaving a free like, comment, and subscribe. Keep this story alive forever. Oh yes, I'll be sure to do this.
Only 4.2% of the viewers watching this video are subscribed. It takes countless weeks to write and produce these videos, but it takes just a second of your time to click that subscribe button. It's completely free, but helps us out immensely in bringing this content to you.
Well, I hate to disappoint, but your average person is very lazy. So even clicking something because you're asked is, very hard for people. I really don't understand why, though. It's just clicking. Ah, yes, Mr. Mango, you're right. I need to make sure I end the recording. So, that being said, and Mr. Speaker's Corner 304, thank you very much, sir, for the request. And, I will see if, we're able to upload this one to the channel. You know, to honor your request. Good sir. Thank you very much. That being said, I look forward to the next one.